Well, back to the U.S., where President Biden, who was speaking to newsmen after the Three Amigos Summit in Mexico, said he was surprised to learn in November that classified documents or classified files had been found at his former private office. The papers discovered at the Penn Biden Center in Washington reportedly contain briefings on foreign countries. A Republican Congressional Committee says it will investigate. The U.S. Justice Department is also reviewing the matter.
Well, let me get rid of the easy one first. People know I take classified documents and classified information seriously. When my lawyers were clearing out my office at the University of Pennsylvania, they set up an office for me, secure office in the Capitol. The 4 years after being vice president, I was a professor at Penn. They found some documents in a box in a locked cabinet, or at least a closet. And as soon as they did, they realized there were several classified documents in that box. And they did what they should have done. They immediately called the archives, turned them over to the archives, and I was briefed about this discovery and surprised to learn that there were any government records that were taken there to that office.
It's to discuss the intrigue surrounding the recent documents found in Joe Biden's office. I have joining me the Albany County Legislator of District 7, New York, Honorable Biruru Efekoro. He's also a member of the Democratic Party. Good to have you join us.
Thank you very much.
So you listened to President Biden there, but when the Trump Mar-a-Lago case happened, where it was also said that Trump had taken classified documents to Mar-a-Lago, what President Biden said at the time was, how can, and I'm just quoting him, how that could possibly happen, how can anyone could be that irresponsible? He said that was his first thought. And so when this has now happened to President Joe Biden, even though he's not been proven that he was the one who took those documents there, how do you respond to this?
Yes, the issue with former President Trump is different from what is happening right now, because with former President Trump, he put the classified documents in his basement open, like a bunch of documents open just like any ordinary documents. But in this case, these documents were in a box. And also in the case of former President Trump, he was given the opportunity to return those documents, but he basically refused. However, in this case, the Biden's attorneys were the ones who reported this issue, and they immediately returned the document to where they were supposed to be. So there's a huge difference between what has happened here.
But the Republicans are saying that, look, this speaks to the case that that the Trump camp have been trying to make, that look, former presidents and vice presidents have done this in the past, that it is not just President Trump. And they're not asking for impartiality in this case as well, that President Biden should be treated the way President Trump was treated. Do you think that that this could become a full criminal investigation? I just want to establish connection with you, Honorable Ferro, before I take my question again. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you very well.
So I was saying that Republicans have now asking for impartiality in this particular case, that President Biden should be treated the way President Trump was treated. And if you think that this could become a full-scale criminal investigation.
Yes, this is most likely going to be an investigation because, as you know, the Republicans are now in power in the House of Representatives. But we do not expect any criminal charges because I don't see any wrongdoing. What I think has happened is probably just a mistake, a human error that was rectified by the people that were supposed to, rectify it. The people working for President Biden were the ones who reported it, and they took the necessary steps to make sure that those documents are returned to where they were supposed to be.
But President Biden and the White House found out about these documents 6 days before the midterm elections and didn't say anything about it. It's been 2 months since these documents were discovered and still nothing from the White House. You don't think that in that case, that this also calls for investigation?
Well, they returned the document immediately they found out about those documents, so you can say they never said anything about it. If you're asking about an official statement, there's going to be, most likely going to be a congressional investigation into it, and then we will see what happens from there.
Say anything about it. They had called the DOJ about this, but did not inform the American public about it. It's been more than 2 months now, and just after 2 months before the American public was informed about it. If that is not crime, but at least on moral grounds, isn't that wrong?
Well, you have to ask the Department of Justice about that.
Let me also ask you if this could have further implications for the Democratic Party as well, because the Democrats have had a very good week because of the past tussle and struggle in the Republican Party. It sort of gave the Democrats an edge. But with this kind of information, do you think that they have now lost that edge?
No, I do not think so, because again, the Biden's administration, people working for the President Biden were the ones who found these documents, and they immediately informed the Department of Justice about it to rectify the issue. So I don't see any criminal issue here. I don't see any. If they want to prolong it and argue about it and launch a criminal investigation, I'm pretty sure President Biden is not opposed to that, but I am sure that it would lead to nothing.
All right, so let me sort of move away from the United States to Nigeria, where you are at the moment. You are a Nigerian-born U.S. citizen. You are now a legislator of the District 7, New York. But let me ask you, you have been in the country for some days now, and I'm sure you've been following politics in the country as we prepare for the elections. What are your thoughts on what's happening in the country at the moment, especially the preparations towards the election and the politic in itself?
Yes, it's great to see a lot of the youths getting involved, just like we did with President Obama's election, just like we did during my election in Albany County. So it's great to see that a lot of the youths are getting their PVC. I spoke with somebody yesterday, a youth, that went to stand to make sure that she gets her PVC today. So there's a movement, especially with the Obidati campaign. There's a lot of movement there going on with the youth, getting the youth involved in politics. But we also have to, apart from getting or trying to see that a youth get elected into office in Nigeria, what is also very important is for the legislature, the National Assembly, to introduce, which they already introduced last year, but they need to pass the legislation for direct primaries in Nigeria. Because if we were to have direct primaries in Nigeria, then right now you would probably have Vice President Yomi Osinbajo on the APC platform, and probably Peter Obi on the PDP platform. These are the two major platforms in Nigerian political sphere. So, but because you don't have direct primaries, these cabals, Nigerian cabals, political cabals, they are able to send their delegates or pay delegates to vote for them, which a youth would not have that type of money to do. So if we have direct primaries in Nigeria, Nigerians would be able to elect their own candidates to represent them, which should happen. Also, there is an issue of the north, because a lot of votes are located in the northern part of Nigeria. But the elites in Nigeria have used poverty and uneducation to remain relevant in the political sphere in Nigerian political affairs. What needs to happen right now is education in the northern part of Nigeria. Make sure that no child is left behind when it comes to education.
Much for talking to us. I'm sure that all the relevant authorities are listening to what you just said and will act accordingly. Thank you so much for talking to us, Biroro Ifikoro.